Okay, so this is the first of many, I hope, videos, tutorials, whatever you want to call them. It's kind of like my workflow for photography editing. I figured since I've been looking at all these photographs and editing them in a very specific way to get a certain look, why not share it with everybody else? So here I am. This obviously is, I'm working on a portfolio thing right now, getting all of my food pictures and wedding pictures together to put on my website. So we could just start here. I mean, I've done around 600 already. I didn't know how I was gonna do this, but why don't we just start here and we'll go from there. So this actually, I edited this already. So this is what it looked like at first. I did a bunch of edits to it. You could see how I kind of brought the lights down here and the lights down here, some of the highlights, just to kind of focus the subject matter a little bit more to the center. I upped the reds to make the meat look a little bit more medium rare than it was, because as you could see, if I take them down to what it was, it kind of looked a little purplish, which I didn't want. So I brought it up a little bit like that, not too red, but anyway, for all you meat lovers out there, this was a really, really good piece of steak at a wedding. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. These are previously edited, but I'm just going back and editing them more, just because everything can always look better. You know, if you guys are familiar with editing at all, you sometimes get caught in the photo, in the event, you know, whatever you're going through, and you just edit differently. So to have a fresh, objective perspective on these sometimes helps you enhance them a little bit more than what they were. So this one seems to have a lot of area out here, which is kind of distracting. I mean, yes, it is a good lit subject, but I think I want to make everything a little bit smaller. So I'll bring it in like this so that we get more area for the subject to sit in the frame. Also, it's very busy and kind of dirty around here too. So I'm going to take my exposure, bring it down to about there. I always bring the highlights down a little bit more because they're less abrasive when you change them. And I'll pull in a gradient here like that, maybe pull it a little bit further and do the same thing over here. It's kind of dark already up here, so you don't need too much. This one I want to kind of limit this dirty towel, you know, just darken that up a little bit so that it's less obvious. And there's still a lot of room over here, and let's darken up the arm a little bit too. And that actually looks pretty good. Maybe mess with the highlights a little bit just to make the plate stand out just slightly more. And then I'll go into my saturation with the reds, and you see how that's affecting a little bit of the skin tone slightly. You can see the skin tone in the hand as I move it up and down. There's a little bit of red change there, but it's not too obvious even when I bring it up. It's kind of just changing the meat there. So that's what I want to do, bring that up a little bit, make it look juicier and more medium rare. And I think that would do it for this one. What we can see what we did to that. I know it wasn't a lot, but when you look at the original, by just pressing this reset button down here on the right, you can see how much more enhanced that is. Okay, so next one. Oh, this one's a great shot, obviously. This is for the wedding portfolio. Right off the bat, I like it. I think it's lit well. I think I could come down with the highlights just a tad and then bring the shadows up just a little bit, just to open up some of the picture there. I like doing that a lot, bringing down the highlights, because I know there's a lot of room when you're working with raw files, if you shoot in raw, to work with the highlights, to bring them down, to not be overexposed. And then there's also room in the shadows too to lift them, just to kind of create more of a scene, and a less contrasty type of image. So when you're looking at an image, you want to be able to really make out what is going on in the photo, and that means down to the details. It adds to the whole effect of it, I feel. So this one's actually pretty good already. There's a little haze going on there, which I might bring down here. This is your basic panel up here, and there's a dehaze slider, which I like using, so you can see what it does. So I'm just going to do it just a little bit. Okay, that one's actually pretty good. I also, for a nice skin tone edit, I like to go all the way down to your calibration, and I'll touch the blue primaries. I'll actually bring them up a little bit, and it gives more of a, it highlights the skin tones, the pinks, the oranges, and it doesn't do much to the yellows. I really think that yellows in a photograph, and it doesn't go with all photographs obviously, but yellows seem to make things look cloudy and kind of dirty and old, and even here, there's some yellows in his tie obviously, but which need to stay. But if you do it, it kind of just cleans things up when you take the yellows out. Obviously it's good for teeth and things like that, but I will always kind of go all the way just to see what it's like, because that's not natural looking, but I'll bring it down just a little bit. And yeah, so that one's done. See, we didn't do much to it, but it's a little bit better. This one's great. It's a nice black and white. See, now this I edited back 5 years ago, and I was into this very hazy looking film type of photography, or edit rather. I liked it. I'd still like it. It has a good effect, but I will dehaze this just a tad to get more contrast in there. And also, I want this to be a little darker in the upper left, so I'll bring the exposure and highlights down just slightly, because there is a lot of open space. I might even crop this. Go into the crop tool, and I'll click this lock button. This lock button actually maintains the aspect ratio, so if it's locked, it'll always have the same shape as the original frame. I unlock that just so I can manipulate it however I want, and I'll do something like maybe just a little less than that, because I do like the smoke up here. Yeah, that works. Okay. On the next one, actually, you know what? Let's go to these are all pretty good because they're well lit from the flash that I used. So let's go to something that is a little bit more unedited. Let's see. How about we do another food item? And remember, these are all edited already. They're not the original file. Obviously, it'd be a little bit better to use that for these, but still, you can always make even a great edit just slightly better because you're removed from it. Like I said, that objective view, and you're probably a better photographer, as time goes on, and editor. You just learn how to do these things a little bit better. This one, actually, I really don't need to do much to this, honestly. There's pretty good detail. It's a little bit blurry, but not when you zoom out. You get the picture. And they're all, like I said, they're all pretty good already. So how about we'll do this one. So it's shrimp. Okay, yeah, this one I like. There's a lot of empty space up here. There's a lot of space down here. We really want to focus in on this shrimp here, which is really sharp. Since I used a flash, the background is lit pretty well, and I kind of want to dim that down, so I'll take that gradient tool again and bring the exposure down, the highlights a little bit further, and just bring it down like that. This will focus the attention a little bit more on the shrimp. I also want to come in from the front end of this boat, I guess, that it's sitting in too. So I'll come in from this end. It's a little bright there. It just distracts your eye, makes you look left. And I'll also take my brush. So if you do a gradient like this, you can keep the settings of this gradient and click brush here, and you can actually brush. It won't do anything here because this is already edited with that gradient, but it will be able to use the same settings anywhere else in the photograph. So I'll actually do this to the plate here because it is a pretty bright, distracting piece. And then I'll come down here on the leaves that are kind of flopping over, and the boat that's not really painted perfectly. And just do something like that. Still a lot of space up here. And while the gradient can take care of some of that by just lessening the light, you can actually just crop some of that out. So I'll unlock it because I don't want to maintain this aspect ratio. Yeah, I'll do that and then pull it over a little bit more so the shrimp's in the center. And it looks pretty good. So it was that, and now it's that. And also, maybe just bring the highlights up. And since it's shrimp, the saturation, I want to just a little bit. You don't want it too much. That looks like it's over seasoned. But we'll go, let's say 20, plus 20 on the orange. Okay, good. Add that to the quick collection. And let's see what else we got. This one's good too. This has a really dark bottom, right side and bottom. And then a very bright upper and left area. So we'll bring that gradient down again. Maybe 2 of them. You can overlap them if you need to. I do that all the time. I'll bring some over here. You kind of just want to match this area because this is your darkest, and you want to equal that. You want it kind of to be equal all the way around your main subject so that your eye's not pulling in some subconscious direction because of light. I'll even add a brush stroke here because this is really bright behind it. And I'll just kind of paint the shadows in there. That works. Seeing already it's looking way better. I also want to crop it. So, you do all that editing, then you can crop it, or you can crop it first. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that looks nice. We'll bring see, this is one of those things where the yellows in the chicken too. You don't want to do something that looks unnatural. So I will bring the greens up because I do like the green in here. If I bring the yellow down too much, I can kind of compensate for that loss if it starts to look weird with adding more green in. And I think that looks good. Let's see what I can do with the calibration, the blue saturation. See if that does anything good. I like going to the extremes of these sliders because then you really know what you're doing, so what direction you're going. So yeah, I like what that's doing. So I'm gonna bring that up to about 30. And that should do it for that. See what we did? See how we kind of made everything focus in more through light and cropping to the subject. And you get that. So that's ready to go to. Add it to the quick collection. And yeah, so this, I feel like I'm gonna do this more often, especially with unedited photos. I have tons of stuff, weddings, a lot of food stuff, a lot of hotels, vacation stuff that I'm gonna get through. And it would be nice just for you guys to come along. If you wanna subscribe, please do. Comment, like this video. It helps out the algorithm so much. Yeah, and I can't wait to continue these little tutorials, if you will, and help you guys edit with Adobe Lightroom. Lightroom is a great tool for photographers, and I love using it every day for my work and for personal artistic work. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I will talk to you later. See you in the next one.